I'm Jeremy, and movies are terrible. Thank you guys for stopping by my new YouTube channel. It's been pretty quiet over here. This is like my 5th video, so it's great if you did happen to find this and this is the first time you've checked any of my content out. Thanks! You can head over and check out Be Terrible Movies if you want to see some of my other reviews and content, but I'm going to start kind of building this channel up and giving it some content. So I got some cool topics to discuss today, mostly about Jason Blum over at Blumhouse Pictures. He has recently done an interview in regards to the upcoming Insidious 4, and he had some pretty interesting little tidbits of information. Well, actually the information that he gave isn't very interesting at all, but it can lead us to speculate about some things that could be interesting. So when he was doing this press junket, somebody from Collider Video or Collider.com asked him the question about his upcoming film, Glass. She said, is it going to be a superhero movie? And I'm paraphrasing here, but he was like, yeah, kinda. It's just not like a Marvel movie, but it's a superhero movie. And it's like, that was a dumb question for her to ask, right? Like, no shit, it's a superhero movie. The other two were kind of superhero movies that weren't like other superhero movies. So that's what you could kind of expect. If you don't know what I'm talking about, back in 2000, M. Night Shyamalan directed a film called Unbreakable. It starred Bruce Willis as a guy named Kevin Kline. No, that's not right. Anyways, it doesn't matter what his name is. He was a man that had unbreakable skin, an unbreakable body, kind of like Luke Cage. Well, Elijah Glass, played by Samuel L. Jackson, is a guy that had some sort of degenerative bone disease that caused him to be extremely fragile, like glass. Well, he is a huge comic book fan, this Elijah Glass, and he, through his comic book mind reasoning, figures if there's somebody like him, there's got to be the yin to his yang, and that's when he discovers this man that survived a train crash that killed like 130 people. So he starts corresponding with him, and by the end of the film, we realize what we just witnessed was sort of a superhero origin story that was a deconstruction of the genre and a really interesting angle. And mind you, this was like 8 or 9 years before the release of Iron Man, so he could have never anticipated the way this whole superhero movement would have blown up. And I just think it was pretty ahead of the curve, if you will. Fast forward 16 years later, after M. Night Shyamalan all but lost his credibility just on this downward spiral of shitty movie after shitty movie, he teamed up with Blumhouse Pictures and they released The Visit. A lot of people were really into The Visit. I was pretty lukewarm on it. It was fine, but it wasn't by any means like a great movie. I didn't even think it was all that good of a movie, but it was a fine diversion. It was kind of funny and disturbing and stuff. So people were like, all right, can't wait to see what his next effort is. Well, he collaborated with Blumhouse again, and he released a little movie called Split that starred Anya Taylor-Joy from The Witch and James McAvoy as 23 different distinct personalities living inside one guy's mind. And all of these personalities are waiting for the arrival of a 24th personality or identity known only as the Beast. Well, interestingly enough, as you're watching this psychological thriller horror film unfold, you're not thinking superhero movie, you're not thinking about supervillains, but then the very last shot in the movie is Bruce Willis, Calvin Klein, or whatever his name was from Unbreakable, and he's sitting at the bar watching the TV, and he makes some statement, and you're like, oh shit, this is the same universe. This is a supervillain origin story to Unbreakable's superhero origin story. Well, the third entry into this trilogy is called Glass. Well, it's going to be interesting to see all of these worlds collide. Anya Taylor-Joy is actually reprising her role from the Split movie, so it's going to be interesting to see how all of these characters converge together. And obviously it's not going to be like a flying around superhero kind of capes movie, and I think that's all that Jason Blum was saying. And it's like, no shit, reporter, why would you even think that it was going to be anything other than what it is? Like, you've got the evidence that you need right there in front of you. There's the other 2 movies. But anyways, very excited about the possibility of this because Blumhouse has been crushing it And as a matter of fact, if you want to talk a little bit more about Jason Blum and the future of the horror movie industry and the future of cinema as a whole, then stick around, because right down in the description, I will post a couple of links to some other videos that I do of similar content. Anyways, I'm Jeremy, and until next time, be terrible.